All right, moving on to anxiety disorders, and disorders plural, because there are a couple that fit under this. Okay, so anxiety disorders are characterized by unrealistic and counterproductive anxiety levels. So there's kind of two parts here. It's normal to feel anxiety every once in a while, to feel worried. But once it crosses a line of not being realistic anymore, so kind of maybe spiraling about something that's not really true or kind of distorted, and doing something that is not productive for you. So it might be normal to worry, for instance, about being able to support your family financially or things like that. But if you're worrying about things that aren't helpful for you, something that's causing interference in your personal well-being or day-to-day life, that's when it crosses into being a disorder instead. So some key symptoms of anxiety disorders in general is having very strong negative emotions about particular things, feeling an actual physical tension. So kind of when your body tightens up and tenses, this anticipation of danger, your body's kind of always ready to experience or fight off danger. Also having trouble sleeping, being very restless because you're laying in bed, spiraling and thinking about all the different uh, things that are keeping you up, things that could go wrong or things that are causing you stress, which again leads to difficulty concentrating. So if you're not sleeping well, you're not going to be able to focus very easily, and it's going to, often affect your mood. So create more irritability. Okay, so the first type of anxiety disorder that I want to mention is a specific phobia. So a phobia, that means fear. So this is, having a fear of spiders or small spaces, for instance. And it's normal. We all, are afraid of certain things. But for it to be counted as part of an anxiety disorder, it needs to negatively impact your life in some way. Secondly, you might have heard of social anxiety. So just like specific phobias, social anxiety is a fear of a specific thing, only this time it's a fear of social situations, social scrutiny and criticism. There's a thing called the spotlight effect, which is kind of this feeling that you have a spotlight on you at all times and everyone's looking at you and everyone's focused on you and judging you and you're the center of everyone's attention, even though it can't be true. So most of the time when people are getting nervous about things like public speaking or, getting up in front of a crowd, they're focused, they're likely worried they're going to be scrutinized by others. And so when those fears start to take over your everyday life and interfere with you, things like making you more hesitant to go out with friends or go to class or go out in general, that's when it starts to be crossing the line into a disorder and something you might want to focus on. Okay, so the last example of anxiety disorder we're going to focus on is panic disorder or having a panic attack. So specific phobias and social anxiety might be due to a specific cause, but in a panic disorder, the attacks don't always have an identifiable cause. So panic attacks might come on pretty rapidly, pretty quickly, and they will quickly ramp up to something that's full intensity. People experiencing panic attacks often feel like they're dying or they're going crazy. Um, and it's normal for someone to have, an experience of this type of a feeling maybe once or twice in their lifetime. But when the attacks become more common and having them cause fear of future attacks, there's kind of this panic cycle that might occur. This is when it classifies as a disorder. So when you have some anxiety about a thing that is ramped up enough to cause you a panic attack, and then you fear that you might have another panic attack, which causes you more anxiety, which then leads to another attack and more fear, etc. That's when this becomes panic disorder instead. So this often might lead individuals to avoid things that are triggering their symptoms, things like exercise, coffee, situations where you've panicked before. This can kind of lead to definitely changes in your behavior. So these are three main types of anxiety. So again, we talked about specific phobias, fears of particular things. I think your book mentions one in particular, agoraphobia, which is a fear of open spaces. So I have that down there. Social anxiety disorder, again, is an unrealistic fear of social scrutiny or criticism, feeling like there's a spotlight on you. And then panic disorder, which is when you have repeated panic attacks and fear of future panic attacks. So these are some of the key ways that anxiety disorders might be broken down. But there's also a general one. So you can also experience anxiety without needing to fall into one of these categories. So generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD is also an acronym for it, is excessive anxiety that's not necessarily correlated with a particular object or a situation. Now, again, I want to show you an example of what this looks like, and I'm turning to one of my favorite TV shows of the moment, This Is Us. So This Is Us is depicting mental health in really cool ways. So this character, Randall, that I'm going to show you here, experiences this anxiety panic disorder. And again, it's a media depiction, so take it with a grain of salt, but see if you can pick out some of the symptoms that are present here.